Hello, everybody. You're listening to Investing in West Africa. I'm your host, Alfred. Investing in West Africa is brought to you by the company Alfred and Friends. To find out more about how you can invest in any one of the subsidiary companies of Alfred and Friends, or to check out our numerous products and services, simply go to alfredandfriends.com. The title of today's broadcast is An Oil-Free West Africa. Let me say that again. An oil-free West Africa. Let us open our Bibles to the book of Proverbs chapter 8 verse 1 to 6. I'm reading from the King James Version of the Bible. That's Proverbs chapter 8 verses 1 to 6. Reading from the King James Version of the Bible, I read, Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding puts forth her voice? She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. Praise the Lord. You see, this is very powerful, and this shows us something about wisdom. Wisdom is available. Wisdom is trying to reach out to you, but a lot of people close their ears to the voice of wisdom. As you're listening to this broadcast now, this is the voice of wisdom. Anywhere that there is true knowledge, insights, revelation from God, about reality, that is wisdom. That is where wisdom is. And you see, wisdom is all around us. Wisdom is not hard to find. But if you are not searching for it, if you are not wise, you will not see it. It is all around you. You can hear the voice of wisdom all around you. You can reach out to it. Some people have never visited a library before. Some people, when they pick up a smartphone, when they get on their device, they have never searched for anything responsible or reasonable. It's always to entertain themselves. They want to listen to the latest songs or watch the latest movies, But you can find a lot of wisdom on the internet. You can find a lot of sermons, a lot of teachings, a lot of facts and information about different fields in life, different professions, and different things that are happening, that will be beneficial to you. Wisdom is everywhere, but people who are fools miss it because they are not interested in it. If you are not looking out for wisdom, you will not see it when it passes you by, even when it is right beside you. A lot of people have Bibles. How many people have profited from the wisdom within the Bible? How many people have solved the problems in their lives from the wisdom in the Bible? How many people have seen that the situations they are going through, the answer is in the Bible, that is in a phone in their that they have. The answer is in a Bible app in their phone. The answer is in a paper Bible somewhere in their house, perhaps even in their drawer that they haven't opened. They haven't opened the Bible for such a long while, or they haven't even opened that drawer. It's the unused drawer. So wisdom is all over us, and you must keep up to date with insight into reality as to what is happening. Today I'm talking to you about an oil-free West Africa. I'm sure that by now you have heard about all the noise from global warming. That oil is bad, blah, blah, blah. It is not good for the environment. All that being said, keep in mind that when it comes to the scientific backup of the global warming movement, they are lacking there. Because you cannot just listen to information from one source. You also have to listen to the other side. If somebody is saying A and there are people who oppose A, you have to listen to both sides. You can't just support one side without hearing out the other side. Otherwise, you put yourself in a position where you are to blame for being lied to. If, for example, you have a child, and your child is a troublemaker, but your child knows that you're not going to listen to the other person's side. Your child can do anything, come to you in tears and say that it is the other person's fault and tell you an interesting story. And since you are not going to listen to the other side, that is what you ride with. There are a lot of people who have beef, feuds, and all kinds of feelings of hatred and animosity towards somebody else based off a lie. There are a lot of relationships that have been destroyed because of a lie. The person didn't come down to search and look for the truth. You need to be patient, look for the truth and listen to both sides. Look at politics. There are a lot of people in politics today that because they have one political view, they never listen to the opposing party and the reasons why the opposing party is the opposing party. Why do they say what they say? When you don't listen, you will never even stand a chance of meeting any reconciliation or any mutual beneficial agreements. There is no room for negotiation because you have not even listened. So that issue would remain prolonged. And there is no way of solving it until you guys can find common ground. But when you are not listening to the other guy, how can you find common ground? A lot of times, the side you are standing on is the evil side. A lot of people who have supported evil over the years, over man's stay on earth, a lot of people who supported evil didn't know that they were supporting evil. They were told that it is the other side that are evil. They were told all kinds of lies, that the other side did this and did that, that we have to do this and do this, because if we do not do that, this and that is going to happen. They are going to kill us if we do not kill them. And so many evil things have been done because people do not seek the truth. People do not listen to the voice of wisdom. Now, in the case of global warming, there is no evidence to back up all the nonsense that the global warming alarmists are saying. There is no scientific evidence. And the people keep pushing back the dates. They have gone from the world will be destroyed in 10 years because of global warming to there is an existential threat because of global warming, that if nothing definite is done by 10 years, it will be too late. All kinds of nonsense. Keep in mind that this did not start today. It didn't even start with Al Gore. You can go back and you will see different prophecies of because of global warming, the world will come to an end on so and so date. The date will come and pass. Because of global warming, the ice glaciers and everything will melt. So and so country will be under the sea by so and so date. If nothing is done, that date will come and pass. So and so on and so forth. It has gone on for so long. It is stupid to believe the global warming alarmists. In any case, we now live in a world where science is trademarked and copyright. It is like some people have the trademark over science. We have lost the understanding that everybody on this earth is a scientist because everybody studies life. We now have people who are official experts. We now have people who, if you do not have the degree or if you do not belong in so and so organization, it is not just a matter of having a degree. You have to belong to so and so organizations. Like, look at the World Health Organization. When the World Health Organization says something, people take it like if God has spoken about health. People take the World Health Organization more seriously than the Bible, than what the Bible says about health. And you can see situations like this. Of course, such organizations will be bought and sold. Their words will be bought and sold, like we can see with this Wuhan virus issue, the coronavirus. How many lies have the World Health Organization told on behalf of China? But of course, when the world creates such organizations that ignores every other scientist, in spite of how many degrees they have, it is like these people are the official people. So whatever they say is. That is how they have created groups. Certain scientists in certain groups say that it is normal for people to be homosexual. They left all the science. They left all what other scientists have said. So now it is so and so group, because so and so group has said that it is normal. That means, therefore, it is scientific normal. It is scientifically normal. That is what science has become. It is now something that can be bought with money. It is now something that what science says can be based on political influence and political motive. So it is the total concentration of the power of what scientific discoveries are, is being isolated within certain groups, because this group and this group says it is so. This is what is so scientifically, ignoring the fact that those groups can also be bought, and even whether those groups can be bought and sold or not is not the point. It should not be so, because we are all scientists. Science is the study of life. We all study life. Everybody in this world is a scientist. But some people are more knowledgeable in science. Some people are more built up and more skilled in science than others. You must break out of that mentality of you have to go to school and get a degree in a particular subject and get the authorization of the government. What if the government takes away your authorization even though you have the knowledge? Don't you know that there are many people who their degrees have been stripped away from them because they did something to upset their nation? There are people who committed treason and their licenses as doctors were taken away from them. Yes, they have committed treason, but does that mean that they no longer know all the things that they knew that gave them that degree of doctor? All the things that they knew before they were given that degree of to be a medical doctor, before they were given a medical license. If someone's medical license expires in many countries and they keep practicing without updating their license, a lot of people, because of that, they will be dismissed and banned from practicing medicine. Does that mean that that person, all the knowledge that they had, all the abilities that they had, all the skills that they had that relate to medicine, it have disappeared? No. But this is the world that we live in. We have come into a phase of believing lies. So a lot of all these professionals that are saying nonsense about the world coming to an end thanks to global warming, they are crazy and they are ignoring what every other conclusion is saying. Like I say, this is something that they keep on pushing dates forward. That being said, an outcome of all this global warming hysteria is that oil is now looked at something that is bad. It is, let us go to renewable energy. And a lot of the Earth's natural resources are now looked at as using it up is bad. Then the question remains, what happens to Africa? Think about West Africa. For example, well over 60% of the resources, the wealth of West Africa comes from oil specifically. What happens when Africans are banned from getting oil from the ground? Because now it is seen as you are destroying the environment. And keep in mind, for those of you who are looking at, if foreigners, if the United Nations and all those kinds of organizations, that consolidates scientific say so, if those organizations say that everybody should stop extracting oil from the ground, can they really go into Africa and stop it? That is not the point. The point is that when Africa extracts that oil, Africa sells it. What happens when there is nobody to buy it? When other nations don't buy it because they believe that they are supporting the destruction of planet Earth. You see, so what I'm talking about is a future which we can see now. There are a lot of people who are talented in lacking foresight, even though it is something that is put right in front of you. This is where the world is going. With all the global warming, this and that oil is bad, oil is terrible, and with all the nonsense about veganism, you have to think about that future. How would that future look like? What is the economic impact on different nations and on certain continents? What is going to be? because this thing is surely going to happen. Think about the cars of the future. Of Tesla using, running on electric power. It's an electric car. There are people who are working on solar cars. What happens to Africa when oil is no longer useful? It is only a matter of time. It may take a while, but it's only a matter of time before airplanes start running on renewable energy. Right now, they don't. But it is only a matter of time before airplanes start running on renewable energy. So what will Africa have to offer? Africa will have nothing to sell the world. Africa will be plunged into way worse poverty than what is seen right now. Because even though they have those resources, they will not be allowed to use them. Understand that before oil was discovered as something that is useful, when people dug the ground and they saw oil, they saw that, crude oil, black water, they say, the land is cursed, and they will cover it back up and go somewhere else and dig for water. So there had been a lot of crude accruing and growing in the soil in different parts of the world that nobody ever used until we found out how we can make it useful. Until man found out how it can be made useful. And during the time of Rockefeller, the original John D. Rockefeller really took advantage of that and, built his wealth off that. That being said, Africa and West Africa needs to start making serious plans on how it will survive without oil and how it is going to survive without a lot of its raw materials. Because you see, it is a matter of power. When people have convinced everybody that if you are using oil, you are destroying the environment, that is an indirect license to raid nations that still use oil. That is an indirect license to go and invade nations that still use oil and stop them from using that oil. This is very serious. Also think about the fact, when you look at the cars in Africa, are they not all imported? There are only 1, 2, or at most 3 car manufacturing plants in Africa that you could say are African to some degree. Because a lot of times the spare parts are imported. The parts that are used, so in some cases, they lean towards the direction of being more of assembly plants than true car manufacturing plants in a few cases. And they are not even that much. There are not more than 3 car manufacturing plants that are African owned in the whole of Africa, as large as Africa is. So the cars in Africa are imported cars. What happens when the people who are making all these cars are all making electric cars? What happens to oil then? What happens when airplanes start using renewable energy? What happens to nations that their wealth is based off the oil that they have? They have nothing to sell. Keep in mind that what you create, what you create within a nation, and you sell to those in the nation, does not help the currency of your nation. It does not help the value of the currency. What really helps is what you export. What you produce locally and consume locally is not where the power of a nation's economy is. It's in what you produce and export that your power is in. So what happens to Africa? If Africa, you look at it and you think things are bad now, in spite of the fact that so much of the oil that is used in the world, probably over 50% of the oil that is used in the world is from Africa. If Africa can look the way it is, as it is now, what happens in that future of an oil-free Africa, where Africa is not allowed to use oil in the name of global warming, in the name of it is destroying the environment? And when products are not even made to run on oil, I hope you know that there is a generator that runs on water. So when generators are running on water, why would somebody buy a generator that uses fuel? So that market of oil is not for the future. It is dying. So right now that you can still see it, before that day comes, make changes. Now, if you are somebody who obviously, politicians are politicians and many of them do not think or have insights, maybe you can get this broadcast across to them. Let them listen to it. So let them know. Because everything I'm saying is obvious. It is fact. Many of them may not have thought about it before. Probably a lot of you listening to me now, what I'm saying is very true. You may not have thought about it before, but now it is very true. That is what is going to happen. There is no way that the world will keep on making noise about global warming and oil will continue to be extracted from the ground. Especially when you see the direction that manufacturing is going to. A lot of the companies are now making electric cars. There are companies that are now making hybrid cars. A hybrid car is a car that works both on oil and on electricity. There are also companies that are looking into different alternative sources of energy. So what happens to nations that their wealth is based off their oil? Look at Saudi Arabia. They have long shifted away from being too reliant on oil because of OPEC issues and, the rising and falling oil prices. Having the stability of your nation be based on what OPEC says is a very terrible thing. That was their motivation. That was one of the major motivations of why Saudi Arabia started looking at other things outside of oil. To the point that they have bought, as a nation, they have bought more land because they have incorporations. They have companies that are actually registered as being the property of the government. And such companies are buying up real estate in other nations. There is much to be said about that. Africa never thinks in that direction or does that. But what Saudi Arabia is doing is very intelligent. You really need to think about that. There are a lot of people who are citizens of Saudi Arabia. Some of them are citizens, of Muslim countries within that region. Yet they own more land in Europe than many of the wealthiest people in Europe. There is even one of the princes of Saudi Arabia that was said he owns more land in England than the Queen of England. How is this a good thing for those in England? How is that smart? Why is a prince from a completely different kingdom owning more land in England than the Queen of England? Where do you think that is going? And he's still allowed to buy more land. Where do you think all of that is going? I hope that some of you know. Many of you don't know this, but a Chinese company years ago bought the Chicago Stock Exchange. Some of you do not even know that Chicago has its own stock exchange. You have heard of the New York Stock Exchange, but Chicago has its own stock exchange. But the entire stock exchange was bought by one Chinese company. How is that a good thing? How is that wise? So there are many things that people do not see. A lot of people, they put so much trust in politicians. You don't understand that politicians are bought and paid for. A lot of them have no foresight, and a lot of them are thinking about only themselves and their families. A lot of them don't even like the countries that they are in, that they claim to be serving. They have so much of their stake in another nation. Look at Nigeria, for example. All the politicians in Nigeria, where are their children? Where are their grandchildren? They are in Europe, they are in France, they are in America. So it doesn't matter if he destroys the future of Nigeria, because that is not where his legacy is going to be. His children are legal citizens of other nations, not the nation that he's serving in as a politician. So how is he going to pass laws that affect his future children. The laws that they are passing do not affect his children. So he doesn't mind destroying the nation because he has no stake in it. He's not going to suffer with others. His children are not going to suffer with others. And this applies to many other nations. There are a lot of people in the American Senate who do not care about America. And they have their resources and their wealth in Swiss bank accounts and in bank accounts in different parts of the world. They have tried to censor Americans opening bank accounts in Switzerland because of money laundering and all kinds of things. But there are banks all over the world. There are banks that such provisions are available, for people who are in politics and belong to other nations, for them to hide money in. So all these things are things that you should consider and you should know. So if you're listening to this, let's say you are somewhere in West Africa, or you are in a nation that, you are in a similar situation. The politicians are going in a direction where it will hurt or destroy the economy for those who are nationals of that nation. What you should do is that you should make personal steps to exempt you from when that tide hits. For example, if you are in West Africa, knowing that a day will come when Africa will be oil free, when Africa will be banned from using its oil, when Africa will have nobody to sell its oil to because everybody will be global warming this, global warming that. Make plans now. How are you going to position yourself that when everything crumbles, you will still be able to stand and thrive? You have to pray about it and think about your plan for yourself, how you are going to position yourself. Does that mean that you may need to start your own electric companies, your own alternative energy companies in West Africa? If that is what it means, that is between you and God. Take steps in that direction. As a matter of fact, if it means you should relocate to another nation, that is all up to you too. So that is it for today. If you are listening to this broadcast and you've not given your life to Jesus Christ, I'd like you to go to alfredandfriends.com, click on the salvation prayer link in the main menu. When you do that, the page will come out that has the prayer of salvation. Say that prayer and give your life to Christ. So that is it for today. Thank you and God bless you.